Good evening and hello to everyone, wherever you may be tuning in. It may be morning, afternoon or evening. It's 5 o'clock here in London. It's day 2 of the AI Accelerator, and we're really excited to welcome our incredible speaker from Schneider Electric, and it's Roberto here, joining us on the call from Italy.
Well, no, I'm actually in Chelmsford, not far from where you are. I'm in UK.
I thought you would have a chance to go actually home, but okay.
Well, sooner, hopefully soon. Yeah.
Yes, we're all waiting for the times to become a little bit more normal, so that we can go back home to visit our families or just go on holidays. But so good to have you, Roberto, and I am absolutely looking forward to your talk. I have briefly been I've been looking at your presentation, and I know there is a lot you have to say about data, about humans, and about so many other things. So I'm really looking forward to that. So everyone, we have Roberto Maranca here from Schneider Electric here on our call. And you will have a chance to ask questions. If you have questions, do please ask them on YouTube Live, and we will ask Roberto all of your questions. Enjoy this talk.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you for the introduction, and welcome everyone. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure and a honor, and I'll try to share my screen now. Elena, if you confirm you can see it, so I'll just make sure that I talk to the slides. And right, you go. Can you see now? All right.
You can, yeah.
So a quick introduction about me. As you can hear, I'm not from around UK. I moved here 20 years ago, and I've been doing I'm probably way older than the average of you guys, but let's say in my past, I've been an IT guy. And after a while, I decided I want to be in data. And after a few companies, I ended up in Schneider Electric, who's a company that is quite a big one, is global company, and is producing a lot of stuff that probably you have in your house that you don't see. So we are producing components for energy management. So from the small switch in your board to the big data centers or the big hospital power management. And for the ones that are in UK, the new stadiums of the Tottenham Hotspur was actually a Schneider installation. So we, as the tagline says, we keep the life on. Life is on. And our mantra from our CEO is that people should have a right to access to energy and digital. So digital is important, and data is what is behind digital. Data, people are saying sometimes data is the new oil. Actually, data is more than that. Data is the new nuclear fusion. It's just we are unlocking an enormous amount of energy and connected to all your energy in trying to solve the challenges you're looking at. That's an incredibly powerful proposition. But without big power comes big responsibility. And that's because what I talk here about, and I'm going to talk a bit about my ideas of what's happening in the digital world, and also what's happening more in the business world. And then we'll go to close to you, close to what you're doing, and how you should think about the things you do, you're trying to solve your challenge in the greater environment of humanity. So what happens really that the people are excited about the future that technology brings to you, don't realize that sometimes that future for people that we relate to is actually transformed in fear, anxiety, alienation. People will think, what's going to happen to my job if you are actually replacing everything with a bot? And so we need really to understand that at the end of the day, humans will always be central to the digital world. Whatever we do when we are creating an algorithm, are deriving an insight, we do it because we want to offer something to a human being. And the human being will make an emotional choice to decide whether to buy or not to buy this, unless Alexa one day will select a song because it likes it. Or my fridge will be testing the electricity coming from 2 different providers and switch me on the this one because it likes it. So when the things are going to be so intelligent, they're going to make an emotional choice, then all bets are off, and it will be an incredibly different world to look at. But so far, let's stay on people. And you probably want to think about also why I'm talking about people in the context of business, because we need to understand that in a 21st century, what is really making a company great and successful is how this company is connecting people and data. Imagine that when I started working, and you were not, probably your parents didn't meet yet, I in 1995, to have the power that I can get today just subscribing to Google Docs, it will have taken my company probably years of investments to get to the level of proficiency in IT. So the infrastructure, all this technology that is so almighty is actually pushing people in the foreground as the critical factor for success. So connecting data and people is important. But why is it difficult in most companies? And I might be telling you something you don't know yet, or some terminology they're not familiar. But in companies these days, we're talking a lot about silos. So people are talking, oh, in this company, we do things in silos. So we are not efficient. We're not optimizing things. We're not doing things in a way that should be easier. But where you see silos, I see tribes. Because in reality, there aren't these cylindrical metal things sitting in a company, but are more people sitting together in a team, listening to their chiefs and sharing beliefs, sharing customs, sharing the habits, sharing their tradition, and most importantly, from a data point of view, what they share is a dialect. And whenever you have a dialect, you have different languages spoken in a company, that will have an effect on data, because we don't call the same things with the same names. So when we try to measure things, when we try to create a data set or analyze a data set, if those data sets are not homogeneous, they are not comparable, we'll always have a problem. And the problem is going to be, my friends, that data flows. Data doesn't care. Data goes around the company, and sooner or later will end up in the hands of the customers, the regulators and investors, and they will not care. They will just say, this data is not good enough. And so they will not care if it's going to be the finance team or the IT team having making polluted. You are going to have a problem. So in thinking about the world of data and thinking about the world of what you do or what you're trying to think about and becoming data scientist and working with this data thing and doing AI, I believe that to take care of a world in which digital humanism is important, you need to expand the set of people that you want to have on a team. We need to start to think about not just how do I create an algorithm, but how I make that algorithm visualize in a way that doesn't create a wrong impression. How do I actually work in a way that once I create this insight, and this insight is creating a truth, that truth can be absorbed by people? How create a sociological, or even how do I think about the philosophy of what my company is doing? And that's not just from a company point of view, but also from a society point of view. So we need to be very wider, much wider in how we think the skills that needs to be brought to the table. And funny enough, for you guys, for the guys that are looking at human sciences or sciences, and decide what I should do, should I go more on the human side, on the technical science? I think nowadays we are seeing these things intertwined. More and more these days, we're talking about the connection between human science and technical sciences as the only combination that will make us better as a humanity. So what do I do? So I apart from thinking all these strange things, what do I do? Well, in my role of data excellence in Schneider, you can think about me as a sort of a data personal trainer. So people will come to me from a business side point of view and say, oh, I really want to improve my sales, or I really want to get in a new market, or I want to do that. And I translate their strategy requirement, their ambition, I translate it into, you need to have a mindset, you need to have a certain regime, so you achieve results. So that's what I do. And the way I structure this is thinking about three pillars. we want to have in a business an aligned culture, because, as I said, humans are central to this. So you want to have people that are thinking that not working on data, not creating the right data quality environment is wrong. And so you want to have reward the right behaviors for data. So, and you want to make sure that you are transforming your environment. You're getting to an environment in which this data brings change, and we change the way we change. So we use every opportunity of change to make something better for data. And finally, you want to create value. And the value you create when you are connecting all of this in something that more and more people are talking about as the era of enterprise knowledge management. And this is really the future. This is really the way companies are starting to think about what they need to do. So it's not enough that I analyze a series of temperature somewhere in my shop floor and I understand whether that temperature is going in the right direction and is in the wrong direction. No, I want to connect the temperature with the number of people in the room. I want to have an understanding of what processes are happening at that time. I want to have a sensor that are telling me whether the activity that is happening is according to what I want. And on top of that, I want to put my models in terms of revenue models, in terms of profit models, and operation models. So you start to see yourself as a company as and you will probably find, I don't know if you heard this terminology, but digital twin is basically a representation of what you do using all your data and all your modelization. So you move away from just doing the little algorithm and you expand that to an algorithm that is actually interpreting is making the company look like a brain that is answering questions based on models that are physical models. If this is too far-fetched, believe me, this was feeling far-fetched to me as well a few years ago. But if you look further in the future, it's really that's where the companies and probably humanity needs to go to really solve the big problems. You can't just look at the little algorithm. You need to look at the entirety of the knowledge that you need to solve a problem. Are there any questions, Elena? I'm actually doing fine with time. I should be done in another 10 minutes.
Perfect. No, none yet, but I am.
Okay. Are you? So am I coming across clear? I mean, can you hear me all right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Good. So, but in doing that, you need to be careful because bad data is out there. And if you ever been trying to solve a challenge or to solve a problem, you will immediately find yourself in front of the fact that, oh, I don't have all the data I need. Oh, I don't have all the data in the way I need. Oh, I don't even have the data that I needed in terms of freshness. I want this to be yesterday's data. The only thing I get is 6 months ago data. Bad data is the ball chained to your ankle when you're trying to transform digitally a company, because you will do you will set up your AI, you will do everything you can to choose the feature and doing all the fantastic curation and creating a perfect being. But that perfect being, once you give it to the people that have to actually work with it, they will tell you data is not good enough. I can't use this. So there is a debt of data, and there's a debt that has been accumulating in companies in the world because of the neglect of data. And that's what you need to think about when you are setting a challenge. Don't forget that you will need to negotiate with bad data. And as practitioners, now more from a society point of view, I explain you what I do, and I explain you the value that I think data has got for society, and I hope you understand and you agree that there is a huge opportunity here. And actually, maybe AI has come at the right moment in time for humanity to save us. But as practitioners, we are at a junction. On one side, you have a utopia. You have the fantastic place that us data experts, heroes of the humanity, will be able to create jobs and opportunity, and data science is going to use to create transparency and understanding. That's when if things are going to go right. But we are still risking the dystopia side. So that's the side where we will be pointed as people that killed free will from humanity, because our algorithms will basically take away the possibility for people to choice, because we're going to have a choice. We will destroy jobs, and data science is going to be a weapon. And you know what's the first weaponization of data? It's called fake news. Fake news is data weaponized, make as a weapon. So, and don't forget, in all of this, just to give you a sense of what is the attention on all of us, don't forget that the European Fundamental Charter of Human Rights put data privacy as Article 8. So, and Article 8 comes before Article 9, which I believe is freedom of speech, and Article 10, which I believe is freedom of religion. So we are touching things that are quite sensitive for humanity. So again, with great power comes great responsibility. And we know that in the future of digital company, the only way you can grow is to fuel the trust that people are in you, having you. So there's going to be, as people working in a company, we will be more and more thinking, well, this is feasible and actually is legal, but I don't know if it's ethical. So you will need to make a decision whether, because you can do it, it doesn't mean you should. And then I'm playing with words here because there is an envelope of trust when truth is simply put and is clear as actually something you can absorb and is done in a transparent way. So transparency, simplicity, and truth is what is going to give people the confidence that they are actually trusting you, and then they're going to come for more business to work with you. So it's a matter of alignment. So given that we are really, really managing very, very tricky and very, very important thing, I'll ask you with me to take this oath. There's an oath that I work with Mary Wallace in IBM, and there's an oath that a few of my friends have been taking, because as a category of data practitioners, we are the only the only category that probably is not having a clarified and assumed code of conduct. So I'll ask you to say that I solemnly pledge to practice my profession with conscience and dignity, to respect the privacy of the people whose data is confided in me. I hope you are repeating after me. To maintain the utmost respect for the individuals whose data I am analyzing, to be transparent, open, and honest about the type of analysis I'm applying to the data, to never, never, never use my insight to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat. So if you swore with me, you are now a true data practitioner. And as a true data practitioner, the last thing I want to leave you with is this sentence from this guy. He's an old guy. He was a philosopher. You see, if you're a philosopher, you can live long, because this guy died when he was 103. And he said, a very important thing is, he's a winner of a Nobel Prize. He said, if you torture data, it will confess to anything. So be careful when you torture the data, and be good. And I hope your challenges bring a lot of good to humanity. I'm done.
Wow, this is amazing. Roberto, thank you so much for this. So we do have, a lot of young people tuning in right now, and there will be some watching your talk afterwards, because we have some teams from America. This was just brilliant. And the question I have for you is, we do have a few questions in here, but the first question I wanted to ask you, and that is really relevant to the program. So tomorrow is probably the day when they will be looking for data sets, and they will be exploring the entire, concept of what is data, where can I find clean, good quality data. What would you advise? What would you recommend? Because we've got quite a number of challenges we're tackling. Many teams are tackling mental health. So, that's kind of sensitive data as well, private data, potentially. Then there are teams that are actually focusing on the question of fake news as well. So
good.
This is what you've just
the
been
anti-weapon. Yes, good.
Yeah, so they are actually taking fake news, and particularly in light of right now what is happening, and there is a lot of information that's coming out about COVID, which is not true, fake, and they are trying to find a way to detect it. So it's really relevant what you've just been talking, but they want to know, where can we find good quality data? And then I will read out some of the other questions they have.
Right. So the people have to understand, first thing is quality is in the eye of the consumer, right? That's the bottom. The first thing you need to understand, that quality is not an absolute concept, is a relative concept. Because I'll give you the example of water, right? If I analyze water that comes out of my tap, it's got 40 milligrams of calcium per liter, and that's perfectly good for human consumption. But if I use that water in an industrial process, that will break my machines. So quality has to be seen with the eyes of what you want to do with that. So the question is, where do I find data quality? Good data quality is actually a wrong question. Is the question should be, how do I find quality that is good enough for what I need to do? So you really need to understand what you want to do with data to project that onto your data and understand whether your data is fit for purpose or not. And to do that, you really need to have the consumer in mind. Now, the consumer can be the person that told you the challenge, should be stressed by you and say, what exactly we want to do with that? Or you need to have a intimate understanding of the problem so you can set your standards and your tolerances. Because that's the only way that you get to a point in which you say, okay, I can actually trust this.
Brilliant. And so we do have a team that's actually developing this product to detect fake news. And they're asking you, following on, okay, from the last quotation, how much of the fake news we see every day is simply a manipulation of statistics? And how can we ensure that statistics are used to accurately represent the news?
Oh my God, I would like to have you in my team. That's you basically you have there the entirety of the problem of data science, right? You've been talking about bias, backtesting, and real inference. So yeah, it's an incredibly complex question to answer, but I guess that the validation and control is the only things you can put on the side to be sure enough that what you're saying is the right thing. Because at the end of the day, data is representing reality, right? So somewhere, somehow, there is a real thing that is actually true. And although might be true in an interpretation, might true in a you see, we get philosophically involved immediately in this, and it's brilliant. So I really believe that the science, technical science and human science are really connected here, because what we are trying to solve here is not technology anymore. We are trying to solve humanity. And that's where the brilliancy of this comes for me. And I'm having goosebumps when I talk about that, because my mom is a philosopher. My mom has been teaching philosophy for 25 years. So when I was in IT, we couldn't really speak about my job. But now we're having incredibly interesting conversations. So back to your question, I don't think there is only one answer, but you need to, of course, the technical answer is only a limited answer. You need to have a lot of validation and controls, and you need to really be on top of what is going to be the external variation or external element that we can add bias and it can add thing. You will be able to catch them out, but you need to really have your control in mind to be sure that what you're looking at is good enough. And again, it's back to quality.
This is fantastic.
I don't know if I'm able to answer that, but I mean, it's I would like to spend half an hour on that, but we don't have half an hour.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have much time, because we've got Renee already on this call, and I'm so looking forward to kind of continuing on that thread on the ethics and data and biases. But Roberto, I'm really grateful you've joined us. I would love to invite you just for at least one day, just as a mentor to this team that's out there asking lots of questions about fake news. I really do think, they would benefit from spending an extra hour with you, or maybe we could set up a separate call with you.
I have no problem to do that. If you catch me for hopefully a going vacation would be better.
We will catch you today. Don't worry, Roberto, you will get an email from me today, and I will.
All right, I know. Someone has already come through my inbox, I think.
I will email you. I will connect you with those students. They are university students from Leeds Robotics, department, and one from Imperial and another one from Warwick. This is our more sort of the elderly students, and they are tackling what they're really passionate about.
When you say the elderly, they could still be my daughters and sons, right?
Yes. Absolutely. But yeah, but they're very curious about this topic, and I would love to connect
Okay.
to by email if that's okay. But
Absolutely, I'm at your disposal, and it was a pleasure to be here. I hope that what I said in a rambling way was making sense. So,
absolutely.
but okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Roberto. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the rest. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.